Phantom Doctrine. Guys, many of you know that I don't ever do reviews on this channel. It's just not my thing, it's not my forte, and it's certainly not something that I feel I have the knowledge or wherewithal to give opinions on a lot of games. Phantom Doctrine is a little bit different. I just want to say really quickly before I start this unconventional review that Phantom Doctrine to me sort of reminds me of a drunken uncle who lives at home and has no job, but has a degree in aerospace engineering and is extremely intelligent. That is to say, this is a game that's very mediocre right now, but has the potential to be absolutely incredible. And that's what really upsets me. I want this game to improve. I want this to be the best it can be. And I really think that it has the ability to do that. No Man's Sky has shown us that a game that's mediocre at first can absolutely rise to stardom and become a great game. Now, if we look at the story of Phantom Doctrine, it's got some really great things working for it. Number one, the fact that it's got already sort of an XCOM-style combat system, which a lot of people seem to enjoy. And number two, the fact that you can play with intelligence services that, quite frankly, are just not available in a lot of games. There are very few games, guys, that focus on this sort of, espionage between the CIA and the KGB, and in general don't focus a lot on the Cold War period. And this is certainly one that focuses on those things and touches upon a lot of different things in those periods that bring it to life. So for instance, capturing enemy agents, doing espionage and recon on different locations, and ultimately finding out secrets through dossiers and intelligence documents that are going to let you and assist you in locating the enemy agent. Overall, the idea is great, but the execution has a lot to be desired. First, I want to just look at the structure here of these cities. The cities are fine for me. I have no issue here. And generally what you're doing is you're infiltrating enemy compounds that are defended by either mercenaries or by the provisional government or actual government of these countries. Keep in mind that whether or not you're allied with these countries, whether you're playing KGB or CIA, you are still a secret agency. And if you try and complete a mission, the guys in that country, whether they're allied to you or not, are probably going to open fire on you. In this particular case, we're playing as the CIA, and we're trying to actually get this particular hostage out of this situation and bring him back to base unharmed. So already I like the storyline behind the mission. It's really fun, and each mission is going to be somewhat different depending on your intelligence services. You can also unlock recon missions, you can unlock disruption missions. There's a lot of different missions you can unlock. But this does, and I've seen this concern radiated throughout the community, does sometimes get repetitive. XCOM has a way of approaching these missions a little bit differently, where it doesn't get nearly as repetitive, and for whatever reason, that just isn't the case with Phantom Doctrine. Once you actually get a nicely established intelligence agency, there's not much difference in the missions that you're going to have in the beginning of the game towards the missions you're going to have at the end of the game. How do I think this could be improved? I think XCOM does a really good job of bringing in sort of elite units, and occasionally you do have that. So for instance, in this mission, where we're supposed to actually rescue this agent, there's a unit right here, a hitman, and he's a lot tougher than a lot of the soldiers in this area, and he'll probably kill our agent if he gets the chance, if he knows that we're breaking in. I love all that stuff. That's really good, but of course over time it does become somewhat repetitive. And with a game based on espionage, I see so many different approaches to missions that they could implement here to get rid of that repetitiveness, and I don't think that would be very difficult. Next, I'm going to touch upon what I think is the biggest killer of this game, what I think is the worst part, and that's going to be the line of sight. Now right here, just to give you an idea, I'm going to go ahead and get into a gunfight with the enemy. We're actually giving our position away. There is absolutely a way to get in this game and get through it without making a single sound. It certainly takes a bit of skill, but it is possible. But in this case, I'm really just trying to show you guys how the line of sight in this game is very poor, and I'll explain why. So the biggest issue here is that no matter where the enemy is, for the most part, they're going to be able to get a shot on you. Some of those shots are agreeable and understandable. Some of them make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Right here, for instance, the fact that he could spot Canasta kind of makes sense. He's on a roof, he's on a balcony, and she is out in the open. But there are shots like this one right here. Here we go. Perfect example. This guy's going to fire through two windows to hit Canasta. And while I could certainly see that occurring, I don't doubt for a second that, a modern assault rifle can fire through two windows. I think that there's a degree of plausible deniability that could be used here. if you're an enemy soldier and you can maybe see the outline of what you think is an enemy agent through 2 windows, are you really going to fire every time? Or are you going to say, I don't know if that's an enemy agent, could be one of my own troops. Visibility looking through 2 windows is not exactly great unless those windows are in pristine condition, you know, beautifully kept, etc. This is another example. It just seems that no matter where I am on the mission, no matter what cover I have, the enemy's going to find a way to target me. And this is certainly something that I've seen a lot of people complain about. This can be fixed, and it needs to be fixed. I totally understand the mechanics behind a modern rifle, and I understand that its distance is dramatic. But I also think we need to give these AI a little bit of personality. Maybe even, you know, each one of them some will be aggressive, some won't be so aggressive, where people are just not going to fire into locations where they think maybe there's an enemy, especially not when they're on a base with a bunch of their friends. So I think that's one issue. Now over here, the shots on Canasta, pretty understandable. She's out in the open, so you can obviously see her from the balcony, and, you know, truth be told, you can probably even see her from this window. But I've had situations like this guy back here, able to hit her from all the way over here, and it just doesn't seem realistic to me. Is the line of sight accurate? Kind of. You know, you can certainly see through that window. He's got to look over the car, first of all. So he's looking over the car, looking through another window, looking through a second window, and she's behind a wall here. So at the very least, he's only seeing, you know, maybe her nose, maybe her face. It's not something you're going to take a shot at, and it's certainly not something that's going to be an effective shot. It just isn't. This is another example here. This guy's behind perfect cover, so he should have pretty good defenses. But as you can see, pretty easy shot there. This, to me, I think, is the most troubling part of the game and really a game killer. This, to me, is what needs to be fixed. The line of sight has to be fixed. If we're doing a game on espionage, you want to have an appropriate and realistic line of sight, because if you do mess up the mission and you have to escape, you want to be able to use the structures around you to your benefit. And I just don't see that being used in this game. Sure, you get a little bit of a defensive bonus when you're behind something, but it's pretty pathetic. Now we're jumping into the part of the game that I really love, and this is where I think this game has so much potential. Number one, we've got agents here, and each agent is somewhat different in their dossier as well as their background. So for instance, this guy used to be a Navy SEAL. If we go down to Necros, he used to be a member of the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, and there's also a number of trainings and perks that can be unlocked for each individual character. That gives them sort of their own personality, their own benefits, etc. We've also got different information about his circulatory system, his respiratory system, etc. That's all going to affect essentially how he performs in combat. We also get some very detailed stat information here for any new players, which I really like. As you can see here, circulatory system influences hit points and fire points, and essentially each one of your agents are going to be good at certain things and not so great at others, and I think that's a great part of the game. There's also a hire screen. We don't currently have any agents that are unhired right now, but occasionally you will unlock some new agents that you can hire into your agency, either through missions or through uncovering intelligence information, and they can either be really great agents, real good additions to your agency, or they could even be double agents. So they could be working for the KGB and you're part of the CIA, and what they're doing is feeding information off to their KGB holders the entire time. If we go over to the infirmary, this is another interesting part of the game. Nothing huge here, but I like it, where basically when your agents get hurt in a mission, they need to go to the infirmary to heal up. We've also got a workshop, and over here, you can have agents start producing different items, and you can unlock new items by doing missions. Right now we just have lockpicks and flashbangs, but if we keep on playing, that can really expand to pretty dramatic things. And of course, tech upgrades. We can actually upgrade our base. I've already upgraded quite a few things, but this is definitely a fun little addition here that I like. And finally, analytics. This is essentially your agents studying classified documents to find either enemy agents or even more important information. And if we take a look right here, these are our Beholder Initiative files. This is one of the files we have, and I don't have a very good, how can I put this, description of how this works, because right now we're just getting a text file. But with a lot of the actual intelligence files you get, you'll actually get a folder like this, and you'll get a tremendous amount of information, including pictures, documents, things like this that you need to draw connections to. And it's fairly straightforward because you get like names for each file. and you need to basically connect those names. And once you get all that information, you can unlock some pretty amazing missions. You can unlock some new agents and unlock some, new locations from which to establish your base. That's another thing that's very realistic about this game. Since we are a spy agency, we can't keep our HQ in the same location every time. So one of the things you do in this game, which I think is very realistic to a spy agency, is you want to be moving your location as this danger meter goes up. Right now our danger is 0 of 525, but that increases with enemy missions. And as you can see along this map, you can send your guys to any of these locations. If you're playing as the CIA, you basically get all of Europe with a little bit of Asia, and if you're playing as the KGB, you get all of East Asia, essentially, as your playground. You also get locations like this that have suspicious activity, and when you get something like this, you can actually send some of your agents to that location to take a look at the issue. Over here, for instance, in Port Said, we know there's an enemy agent here, and we can go ahead and assault and try to assassinate and kill him, or even arrest him, capture him, get some information out of him, and either add him to our agency or just kill him, which is usually the case when you capture an enemy agent. They're usually disposed of. But that being said, I really like this part. I think this is very intriguing. I like the fact that we've got an enemy agent here that could hurt our organization, and that there are things we can do about it, even though sometimes we might lose some folks. We also have an intel thing going on, tactical recon, which is going to make that mission easier. And sometimes you could do tactical recon or just intel gathering in locations with no enemies and unlock more intelligence files, which of course lets you progress through the game. This is where I think the game has a tremendous amount of potential. This is where I see the developers have focused a lot, and this is a beautiful part of the game. Again, I could go on so much discussing my positives and negatives about this title. I want this to be a game that everybody wants to play. I want this to be a 9 out of 10, but it just isn't right now. It could be, but it just isn't. So it's with a really heavy heart that I have to give a final review and final score of 7 out of 10 on this game. And that's because I'm biased. I love this genre. I love this title, but this is a 7 out of 10. If you're not into spy games, this is maybe a 6 out of 10. I see so much that could be improved on this title. I see so much potential here, and if the developers don't grab this by the horns and really do some optimization, number one, with the line of sight. I understand. I've worked at a video game company before as a PR manager, and even though I was in the marketing department, I know how tough it is to change existing mechanics in a game. It's not feasible. It's not economically feasible even. But things like the line of sight can be fixed. Some pretty basic stuff can be fixed, and I'm sure DLC will come along that adds maybe some more interesting layers to the missions. But that's really just my 2 cents. Like I said, I could keep going on and on about this, but I'm going to end it there. I want to thank Good Shepherd Games for giving me a copy of this. Really appreciate it, guys. I love this. I love this game, but you could do a lot better than this. And I know with the skills you guys have that this is absolutely something you can accomplish. So if you like this review, make sure to let me know in the comments below. If you disagreed with this review, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy strategy games. Again, I rarely do reviews on games, so this is really a special review that I did specifically for this game because I want this to improve, and I hope it does. I'll catch you on the next one, guys.